Okay, so in this last video in this unit, we are going to see one more personality copying sort of case, and it's going to be a definite problem for the personality theory. So let's take a look at the case. So in this case, same mad scientist, same brain scanning, overwriting brains, personality technology. This time, the scenario is a little bit different at the beginning because we have three kidnappees: you, Linda, and Jane. Okay. And then what happens is that your body gets destroyed, but your personality gets copied into both Linda's body and Jane's body. So now we've got there's that pink body and the yellow body, and each of them have your personality, and your body is gone. So that's what's happened. So who are you after this happens, after the switch? Are you A, the person with the pink body? Are you B, the person with the yellow body? Each of them have your personality. Are you them? Well, there are a couple possibilities. Maybe you're both of them. Maybe you are A and also B, right? Numerically identical. So there's one object. There's one thing. Or maybe you're A but not B. Maybe you're B but not A. Or maybe you're neither of them, right? Those are the four possibilities. Let's consider first the possibility that you're both of them. This is what the personality theory actually has to say. A has the right connection to your psychology, right? A and person A and later and you before the switch have exactly the same personality, and therefore, according to the personality theory, you're the same person. But B also has the right connection to your psychology, and therefore you're also identical to B, because so you prior to the brainwipe and personality replacement, and B after the brainwipe and personality replacement have exactly the same personality. And the personality theory says, well, when you have the same personality, you're the same person. So the personality theory has to say that you are identical both to A and to B. That's a problematic thing to say, as I'm now going to explain. So A and B are numerically distinct from one another. They are distinct entities. They're different bodies, and they're psychologically separated. So A psychology operates and evolves as a whole psychology, right? So what do we mean by whole psychology? Well, so A is there. A has a bunch of sensory experiences, takes in the world, decides to act, and as a result starts to form memories, and depending upon what happens, may change their personality. And that happens entirely separately from whatever is happening with B. Maybe A and B will interact, but A sort of has a whole coherent set of experiences, a set of reactions to those, and then that just keeps repeating itself over and over and over. Same thing inside of B. So B's psychology is operating and evolving as a whole psychology. So we have separated bodies and we have separated psychologies. And I don't know, but it's hard to see why that wouldn't be sufficient grounds to say that A and B are numerically distinct. So let's suppose that they are. Well, now there's a problem. On the one hand, A and B are distinct, but on the other hand, if you're identical to them, then they're identical to each other, right? If the equals of equals are equals. So on the one hand, we think A and B are distinct. They're different bodies, different they have similar psychologies, qualitatively similar psychologies, but just like the rubber duckies, the qualitatively identical rubber duckies, we have qualitatively identical but distinct psychologies. So nonetheless, if you're identical to both of them, then they're identical to each other. Well, if on the one hand, but we said they're distinct, so they're not identical to each other, and that means that you're not identical to both of them. So there we go. You're not identical to both of them. So we've ruled out the first option. Well, maybe you're identical just to A but not to B. So note, first of all, that whether or not this is true, it is not what the personality theory says, right? Because the personality theory says you're just as tied to B as you are to A. Could you be identical to B and not to A? No. Well, again, it's not what the personality theory says, but it also seems it's pretty sort of random and arbitrary. There should be some reason, if you're identical to B but not to A, there's some reason why you're identical to B and not to A. But it's hard to see what that reason could be. The ways in which you're related to B are exactly the same ways in which you're related to A. So whatever it is about your relationship, whatever it is about the relationship between you and B that makes B be the same person as you, that holds in the case of A as well, and vice versa. So whatever it is that would make you identical to one of them should make you identical to the other of them. But we saw you aren't identical to both of them, and so you're not identical to the other one, right? The problem is, for saying you're one but not the other, is we want to know, why would you be the one instead of the other? And it looks like there's no good reason why. So the final alternative is that you're neither. That's the only one we're left with. And so if you're not both, and if you're not A but not B, and not B but not A, then you're neither of them. And looks like that's what we're stuck with. And note that that's what the body theory would tell us, right? Because the body theory says, who are you? You're your body, so you exist as long as your body exists, and once your body ceases existing, you stop existing, and as long as your body is existing, that's what you're identical to and not anything else. Well, in this scenario, your body has been destroyed, and so you don't exist anymore, so you're not identical to A, you're not identical to B, you're not identical to anything because you don't exist later on. And so what the body theory tells us is you're neither. And so the body theory fits what we've independently said it holds about this case. So what should we say? The personality theory has problems. We looked at the single copy cases and the sort of memory altering cases. In the previous two videos I suggested that the personality theory doesn't do a great job there. And here I think it's just flat out refuted, because it says you would be identical to both of the duplicates, but that's not possible because the duplicates are distinct from one another. So I think the personality theory is in big trouble. So you might wonder, maybe the personality theory can be fixed, and you might wonder, well, okay, so there are problems with the personality theory, and maybe we think the body theory gets some of these cases better, but does it have any problem cases? And as it turns out, it has problem cases too. So what we're going to look at in the next module is, can the personality theory be fixed? Is the body theory any better? And a little bit about, well, what should we care about personal identity anyway? What matters about personal identity? Why? We started out assuming we care about it, but we're going to ask a little bit about, well, should we care about it actually? Why should we care about it? And that's what we'll end that module with.